Summer Camp Nightmare. I'm Rebecca Lieb.
I'm Jason Horton.
And this is Ghost Town.
Summer camp suddenly shut down after parents say their kids went hungry and were even left unsupervised. Now, this camp in New Hampshire has been around for years.
But parents tell us just days after they dropped off their children, they were called to come back and pick them up.
There is a camp in New Hampshire known as the Fyre Festival of summer camps.
Oh, man.
And I seldomly get to do this, or we get to do this, but the article for this came out today. You might not be hearing it the day it came out, obviously, because there's a process to making the podcast.
Sure.
But there is the Boston Globe seems to be the main article on this, so it's all coming from that.
Oh, my God.
I tried to do some independent research as far as like getting feedback. That's also a little bit hard because this is such a new thing. And a lot of what I can find is people saying how much they love the camp.
Wow.
And anti-Biden sentiments. That's all I can find. Apparently it's his fault too, we'll find out.
Oh.
But we love it because the powers that be we don't love, the people that are victims, we do love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's people that are just, their hands are, I get it. There's people that are caught in the crossfire as well.
For sure, for sure. But it's nice to, I mean, like this came out today.
Today.
Like, we talk about stuff that came out, early 2000s, 90s, 80s, like.
1436.
This is new. It is dewy. It is young, bright-eyed, waiting to be explored.
Camp Quinebarge.
Great name.
Has been in business for 85 years. So pretty sedimented in being successful or without scandal.
Yeah.
But the camp charged $3,400 a head and shuts down overnight. Counselors were playing spin the bottle with the kids.
Oh, boy.
Inedible food served on dirty dishes, and dozens were left in tears, bored, and devastated, and closed after 6 days.
Those are all very wildly different reactions, though. Like, left in tears, bored, and devastated.
So the summer sleepaway camp that charged $3,400 for 2 weeks abruptly closed after several staff members were fired and campers complained to the parents about the poor conditions. And, different than Fyre Fest in the sense that it was a camp with a reputation.
Yeah.
It wasn't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
But things went wrong in a Fyre Fest-ish way.
Okay.
On July 2nd, Executive Director Eric Carlson told parents that Camp Quinebarge would be closed indefinitely due to the lack of staff and problems with its food supplier, and to come pick up their kids immediately. Again, this is all according to the Boston Globe, all praise to the Boston Globe. This came one day after directors issued a message to parents saying the past couple days have been a bit rough. But despite the challenges, campers were safe and overwhelmingly having a good time.
Okay. Overwhelmingly used very loosely.
A mother with 2 children at the camp who wanted to remain anonymous told thedailymail.com that her concerns lie with the camp's lack of communication when issues of safety arose. Shortages of staff, proper food, children getting physically assaulted by other campers, kids getting sick without parents knowing, staff members acting inappropriately with the campers by discussing their sex lives or playing games like spin the bottle. I don't think I could play that with an adult.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't,
detail.
it's just, I can't do, it's just too uncomfortable.
It's gross. It's gross.
She emphasized that the camp directors failed to actively communicate with the parents about the issues. One father who requested anonymity claims he found a note in his son's pocket days after the camp closed reading, almost like Dear Diary. We have been in tears, bored and devastated the whole day. The camp director is lying to you all. You have to trust us. You have to. We are not joking and we are not having fun. So many things are wrong with this place.
Jesus.
Like a note that maybe he was trying to slip out so the free world would know, about it.
Quick, giving some random dog a note in his mouth and hoping that someone will give them fresh water and a counselor will stop making out with them.
She said most parents wanted Camp Quinebarge to take responsibility for what happened, issue an apology, take steps so this won't happen again. When you create an unsafe environment, you're dealing with minors, you just have to be held accountable. This cannot happen again. But what can happen again is a break. In a statement provided to the Globe, Carlson said that Camp Quinebarge was impacted by industry-wide staffing and supply chain complications that were not due to any long-term issues with camp operations. And they sincerely apologize to all the family and staff members who had their summer plans interrupted by our premature closure. A few days after the closure, the executive leadership issued a statement. A lot of statements.
Of course. A lot of statements, not a lot of like...
After you found, like,
Yeah.
P.S., sorry, were you going on vacation? Oh, well, the kids are going somewhere.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's not here.
Exactly. God.
Upon reflection, we know camp is only good for the kids if we can ensure their health and safety and the untenable nature of our food supply. Oh, hey, there's not enough food. I go play spin the bottle with the kids.
Also, like, this isn't like an agrarian community. This is like, you go to a fucking grocery store, you get takeout. Like, there's so many things. New Hampshire isn't like another planet.
With the untenable nature of our food supply, we know that we're right to say you can no longer do that, no matter how devastating it is for us and you. The camp is now being referred to as the Fyre Festival of Summer Camps, advertises that it offers campers the best time you can have in the world. Like Fyre Festival, we've talked about Fyre Festival in here many times. Quinebarge promotes high-quality, well-balanced meals, noting that it accommodates dietary needs, nutrition options. Campers love our food, the website promotes. In letter to camp staff, the mother said her daughter claimed the food at times was inedible and lacking in proper temperature and storage. The girl also reported that breakfast items were often so scarce that campers had to beg counselors for a bagel.
Begging for a bagel? Get the fuck out of here. Also, I want pictures of all this bad food.
The letter alleges that cheese and other dairy products were left in sweltering conditions for hours, and that dinner foods occasionally were cold and hard. I don't know how the lack of food promotes the storage of food.
Yeah.
Because I'll get to a lot of what the feedback is, and it has a lot to do with the lack of food. One counselor told the Globe that a child was served a mostly raw meatball during a meal. He also noted the commercial dishwasher was broken and kids were served food on dirty dishes.
Ugh.
I don't know how 6 days in that is
Possible. Yeah.
possible, and how the lack of food made that happen.
Yeah.
Or how that's because of Biden. We'll find out.
Okay.
The camp promotes one-on-one engagement with dozens of activities, failed to provide campers with fun-filled experiences. Activities were allegedly understaffed, and overworked counselors screamed at each other for the children. The newspaper notes that several staff members quit and or were fired. Probably, hey, I quit. And they're like, no, you're fired. That's probably how that went.
Exactly.
Mother reported that her children shared stories of activities in cabins running without proper ratios and completely inadequate supervision by adults. Where it's like, I guess it's up to the children to decide, like,
Yeah,
what's
to
best.
self-govern, Lord of the Flies style.
One counselor shared that they and other colleagues were hired in days leading up to the camp's opening and didn't receive adequate training. Reminds me of Action Park. This is a lot of Action Park
It's a lot
vibes.
of, just get some teenagers in here, we'll figure it out.
That was in 1985.
Yeah.
This
was
is today.
yesterday.
Yeah, this is, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Of a camp that's been around for 85 years. Plus, camp's been around for longer than that. So
the
there's
idea of making a camp and having it function.
I was hired about 4 days before campers arrived. NJ Lowry, 21, told the Globe. They just kind of said, hey, you were referred. We'll send you the application. You seem to be qualified. Do you want the position? Probably in that order and that quickly.
Exactly.
Carson confirmed that some employees joined the staff late due to hiring difficulties, but reiterated that at no time were corners cut in regard to the vetting of our staff and our mandatory trainings. The mother noted that not all parents reported negative experiences. You said 80-plus parents who had campers in the first 2021 season, about half of them had positive experience and half shared stories that echoed their own.
That's a bad ratio, though.
Yeah.
I don't care if like half had like a great time. The fact that half of the people that their parents spent thousands of dollars for them to be there didn't like it, like that is so telling.
I question who are the ones that saying it was great.
Yeah.
Listen, you can go on Amazon and find some really, really great reviews. Are there people that actually bought the product? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's this thing of like, who knows who's the one who's giving these testimonials.
Yeah, especially if it's coming from the source.
Additionally, she said her kids attended Quinebarge in 2019, that it was a great camp then, and the counselors went above and beyond and did a great job. Quinebarge will remain closed for the rest of the 2021 season. As soon as we finish our closing work for 2021, we'll begin preparing for summer 2022. That went out as a letter to the parents. Officials said they'll be issuing refunds to families impacted by the closure.
Yeah, no shit.
One of the more recent Facebook posts was what I'm imagining is a skit, and it was funny about how they did the check-ins for COVID, that they did check people, tested for COVID and such, which is great, but it was some kind of funny way of showing how they do it. And that was the last post I saw on their Facebook, because I was looking for reviews. I was looking for stuff.
For sure.
And a lot of people said it's Biden's fault about food trade and lack of staff. And that's why they played Spin the Bottle.
Oh, okay.
That's why the dishwasher was broken.
Now it all makes sense. Before it made no sense, and now that you insert Biden into this hellscape, blame that
we
president.
Could assume that maybe they did have staffing difficulties.
Yeah.
Don't take people's money.
Don't do it. It's just greed. It's just fucking, I'm sure, grew up around a huge camp culture, and that shit is expensive. To run a camp is expensive. So I'm sure, whoever was the administrator made a decision to cut corners. I assume at some point it was a good camp. If it's been around for that long, it can't have been like this the whole time. But at some point they cut corners, something happened, and they were like, we're going to save some money by doing X, Y, and Z.
And we'll take the money first, and probably in almost in a Ponzi way, we'll take that money, fix the problems, and hope everything works out. But you don't hire somebody, hey, you were referred, and it's
no. You're working with kids.
Yeah, it's a thing where, and maybe you can't train people for 4 days, and they probably are understaffed. And where does the buck stop?
Yeah,
at the food supply, and in New Hampshire, you can't tell me. Let me say that if you had $10 million, could you get the food? Bet you could.
Yeah,
bet you could. I bet you can get exactly what you wanted, but you were probably let other people deal with it, or the buck has to stop somewhere, and no one seems to be taking responsibility, because you can't have kids writing notes going, this is bad.
Yeah.
These are human rights violations.
Absolutely.
But then also be like, yeah, listen, we couldn't get food. So like you said, counselors had to discuss their sex lives to take their mind off of it.
Yeah, I don't.
Not everyone's to blame, but I feel like there are people to blame that are not taking the blame. And if you took the money in an environment where if things are scarce, you don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, there's no camp. We'll let you know ahead of time. But no, what they did, just like Fyre Fest, they took the money first. I'm sure their intentions weren't we'd like to scam people, but they were hoping that it would. You do that.
They didn't give a fuck, though. They didn't. They didn't care. They didn't do their due diligence to make sure that it was. You're talking. What you were saying was 6 days in. It's not like they were a disaster happened midway through and it was a nightmare. It's no, they were ill prepared from the very beginning. But you know what they were prepared to do? Cash some checks. So fucking at my camp, only top bunks, fruit by the foot for miles.